Main man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. So, it seems as if Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn is doing a lot of bullshit, man. And that's exactly the word to call it. Straight up bullshit. Seems as if the last time that I made a video here on YouTube, especially pertaining to the heavyweight division, there's been a lot of changes going on, man. There's been a lot of changing and rearranging, man. I haven't made a video about this because I've been all celebrating my birthday. Happy belated birthday to me, man. Your boy had a hell of a birthday weekend, man. But now that I come back to boxing, I see, oh my goodness, Vladimir Klitschko has magically appeared as the number 3 guy in the WBC. Oh my goodness, Anthony Joshua is not trying to fight neither one of his mandatories. Let's get into this shit, man. First and foremost, let's deal with this Anthony Joshua mandatory situation. Now, we all know the situation. Anthony Joshua he's now the IBF and the WBA world champion, meaning that he has a mandatory with the IBF, who's Kubrat Pulev, and he has a mandatory with the WBA, who is Luis Ortiz. Not to mention, he has a rematch clause in place to face Vladimir Klitschko again. And this puts Anthony Joshua at a crazy-ass crossroads. Not to mention, this puts him almost light years away from my main man, Deontay Wilder. The only exception to the rules, the only way things change, is if Anthony Joshua becomes the type of fighter that's bigger than belts, meaning he will not go by the rules of the sanctioning bodies. He's a big enough star to attract fans himself, and he doesn't need belts. So if he goes down that route, then that makes everything possible. And it makes a lot of what I'm about to talk about null and void. But if he decides to stay as a boxer, he wants to remain a world champion, unified, undisputed, whatever you want to call it, then this is the route that he's going to have to go down. Now, first off, it's funny to me that we know that him and Klitschko have a rematch in place, but they're not going to start talking about the rematch if Klitschko wants it or not until June. Okay, great. And then on top of that, I hear Eddie Hearn in today's articles talking about, oh, well, we're not going to be able to find a venue possibly for this year. I don't want AJ to come back and, to go right into training camp after his time off, and we may not get a venue this year, so we're looking at some time next year. Cool. So now we're pushing this rematch all the way until next year, even though Anthony Joshua only fought once this year. Okay, cool. Then they pushing this rematch. So this means that if you push the rematch till next year, this thing will be looming over this situation for quite some time. And I don't think that Anthony Joshua is going to be able to fight anyone else until he gets this rematch out the way, if Klitschko wants the rematch. Now, why the fuck is it taking that goddamn long? I understand. They want a big venue. They did 90,000 in the first fight. They want another big venue. I get it. But according to Eddie Hearn, he's shopping in multiple countries. China, Dubai, UK, United States, and here in Vegas. Like, out of all of these places, you can't find nowhere to give you what you want until sometime next year? Putting off your mandatories? There ain't no reason, ladies and gentlemen, why AJ cannot get at least 2 of those 3 fights out of the way, setting up a possible big fight between him and Deontay Wilder. I'm a realist here. I'm giving him 2 fights. There ain't no reason why he cannot go on and get Klitschko and then take on, if not the IBF or the WBA mandatory. From the talks of between Eddie Hearn and AJ, they're looking at the IBF guy. They're looking at Kubrat Pulev before they were looking to take on Luis Ortiz. Now, that's another video within itself. Why ain't you looking to take on Luis Ortiz? Clearly, I think he is the bigger name. I don't know how it is over there in Europe, but I know here, if you had to compare him and Pulev together, most people would go to Luis Ortiz, regardless of how you may think of his style. But the man's been there. Say what you want about Deontay Wilder ducking Luis Ortiz, but the fact of the matter is Luis Ortiz has never been Deontay Wilder's mandatory. He is now Anthony Joshua's mandatory. One of the big criticisms that I've always given to Anthony Joshua, I always felt as though him and Eddie Hearn was pulling a good charade. They got the title off of weak-ass Charles Martin, and then they turned around and they beat a 41-year-old Vladimir Klitschko coming off a loss. So I always said to myself, like, yo, I want to see this dude really step up into an elite status or beat one of the, higher up names in the heavyweight division today. Fighters who've proven to get to that position, who fought their way to that position and shown us their pedigree. Well, Luis Ortiz has done that. You know what I mean? Kubrat Pulev has done that. And now you got two viable candidates in front of you who are ready to go, and they're using this rematch shit as a stalling tactic. It's fucking obvious, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't know what the hell the WBC is doing. With this whole number 2, Vladimir Klitschko he's the number 2 guy now behind Bermane Stiverne, who is the number 1, and will be Deontay Wilder's mandatory. That just seems fishy as fuck to me. Now, I don't object in the WBC putting Klitschko there. Clearly, Klitschko must has ambitions to keep on fighting beyond this year. But I have no quarrels about that. If you want to put him in your sanctioned body, so be it. But why number 2 is my question. Why do you put him between Bermane Stiverne and Luis Ortiz? Now, I have my criticisms of Anthony Joshua. But though I root and I roll with Deontay Wilder, the fact of the matter is, Deontay Wilder, I've been a critic of him too, needing to step up in class. And I ain't a fan of the Deontay Wilder protection program. Why would they put Klitschko in front of Luis Ortiz? Clearly giving Klitschko a chance to get to Deontay Wilder way before Luis Ortiz. Klitschko has been beaten twice, ladies and gentlemen, possibly a third time if he rematches Anthony Joshua. If he chooses not to rematch Anthony Joshua, he's in a very comfortable position amongst the WBC now. I don't want to see Deontay Wilder and Vladimir Klitschko WBC. Let's just put that out there right now. I don't want to see it. Because Klitschko's been beaten now twice, back to back. If he loses to Joshua for a third time, that shit is it. Klitschko should be checking his ass out. But the WBC wants to put him up so far ahead. And like I said before, I ain't for that. If Luis Ortiz got a better shot against Wilder to get the Wilder before he can get to Joshua, the Joshua and Klitschko winner, then so be it. But don't fucking protect Wilder, man. They clearly are trying to give Wilder the avenue to go and either face Joseph Parker, who's the WBO champion, and give him a chance to unify. Or I don't know. But either way, it's like a protection measure, in my opinion. For some reason, they are not allowing Luis Ortiz get next to Deontay Wilder. And for some reason, they are stalling Luis Ortiz's fight with Anthony Joshua or Vladimir Klitschko. They're pushing this rematch shit. They're using it. These promoters and these boxers they're using different tactics now, ladies and gentlemen. They're using injuries to stall fights, or to call off fights, or to get out of fights. This is how you got Gennady Golovkin, who supposedly popped up injured against Billy Joe Saunders, couldn't make that fight, so the fight's off. And now they're using rematch clauses as stalling tactics. If they want to make this shit fast, they can do it. We just saw Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton. How fast did they get that rematch done? We just saw Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. How long did it take for them to get this thing done? Now, what is the exception here? This is a fucking stalling tactic on Matchroom Boxing Promotions' part. And they fucking know it. But either way, before it's all said and done, they're going to have to get 2 of those fights out the way. Whether it be the rematch, if not, then they'll go for the IBF Mando. Clearly, they have leeway with the WBA because Anthony Joshua just won that title, so they can put in exemptions to ask for a voluntary fight. And they will have a little more space to deal with there. As for the IBF, according to Eddie Hearn, if they decide to take the fight with Vladimir Klitschko, they're going to look to put in a mandatory exemption form or somewhat like that and hope that the IBF rules in their favor. But we all know how the IBF get down. Some people are upset about it because, but by the IBF doing whatever they got to do and the WBA doing what they got to do, it kind of messes it up to have an undisputed champion. You know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, I don't agree with that. Too much is given, much is expected. Dude, you can't say you the king of the fucking heavyweights and you are the man at heavyweight and you don't want to prove it. You got to prove it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fucking prove it, dog. You can't just say it. Prove it. You want to be undisputed? Earn it. It's not an easy route. It's not supposed to be easy, ladies and gentlemen. If you want this guy to become undisputed with 19, 20 fights. It can't be that fucking easy. He has to work for it. And I want to see him fight for the titles. Not just inherit titles like he did against Klitschko. No, let him fight for them damn titles. If he collects those belts one by one, the respect level for Anthony Joshua will go through the roof. So they can do this shit, man. Don't act like they can't do this shit. If they wasn't stalling with this rematch clause, this fight, then he can do his mandatories. Easy. And take on and Deontay Wilder, he can go on and get that Bermain Stavern fight and get a Joseph Parker fight possibly out the way. 2 fights. Each man can have 2 fights and then come to the table if they're both still winning. That's how I want to see my undisputed champion come about. Not all fucking easy like everybody want him to do. Everybody just want him to, just make this champion fight this champion. No, how about this? Let them all fight each fucking other, and whoever emerges undisputed and will emerge as the true fucking champion. That's how you find an undisputed champion. To the next video, Main Man, Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man, Made Man Boxing Forum. Google Plus, Main Man, Made Man. You know, truth be told, man, I would love to see Luis Ortiz face Deontay Wilder. Because basically Deontay Wilder is the guy who needs an adrenaline shot to his resume. So, of course, I want to see Luis Ortiz face Deontay Wilder and let Wilder get the glory for beating Luis Ortiz, not Anthony Joshua. Us fight fans should want to see that before we see AJ fight him. And if AJ beats him, this makes AJ just a massive name, man. It puts Deontay Wilder's name to shame. So I want to see Wilder do it. Truth be told. That's just my opinion. So, whatever, man. To the next video, man. Peace out.